Hey everyone, so today I am ready to empty out the raised bed that has the straw flowers and then 2 super petunias in each corner. Now, nothing's really dead in it yet, but I've never really loved how it's looked. The straw flowers are just so vertical that there's a lot of empty space in between, and I'm ready to put in some fall plants. So I'm not going to feel bad about pulling the straw flowers, I don't think. The super petunias though looked kind of bad after the rainstorm. Now we're kind of looking good again, but I think I'm going to pull them anyway, just so I can fill the bed with the other flowers that I got. Now, all the flowers I did get are currently downstairs, so I have to go get them, but I think I'm going to empty out the bed first. I'll show you what I do with the garden waste. There's a few different things I'll do. Usually that depends mostly on the season, but I will show you that, and then we will carry up the plants and I will get everything planted. I'm also probably not going to do much amending of the soil. Again, I mentioned this in the last video, but when I'm planting things for the fall that don't really have to be that productive, that probably aren't going to put on a lot of growth, I don't really feel the need to amend it a lot. However, I did finally go through some of the stuff we got from the Grand Garden Show, like little gift bags, and there was some slow release fertilizer in that. So I might just add that to the bed just so it's in there, but I'm not going to add any compost or anything like that I have. So let me go over there and I will show you what the bed looks like, and then we will start tearing everything out of it. This is the bed I'm going to be emptying out, so you can see here kind of how empty it just looks. The straw flowers got super tall, so when I grow them next year, I will be growing them probably in a pot on the ground, because I still love the straw flower to dry. I'm just kind of over it for this season. And then the super petunias, I mean, they're definitely not as full as they were kind of at their peak, but they are blooming more than they were just a few days ago. So we'll see if I can bring myself to pull them or not. I know it's for the best, but they just look really pretty right now. Also, there are 2 monarch butterflies that have been in the garden, I swear, for at least a week now. I don't know if it's the same 2, but I'm going to pretend that they are. I should probably name them. We actually didn't have many butterflies at all in the garden for the majority of the summer, which was making me nervous. We had a lot of wasps, a few bees, not as many as normal, and then little to no butterflies, especially monarchs, and I think they were recently this year put on the endangered species list, so now I'm happy that I'm starting to see them. I have some seeds specifically for plants that they like for next year, and I'm also planning to get some little like butterfly cage things, so I'm hoping that next year I can actually raise some monarchs here. So we'll see. Anyway, that is not the point of this video. Let's go ahead and now empty out that bed. The straw flowers are out. There were, I think, 6 of them. So now is the saddest part of removing the petunias. I'm going to do this one first, because this one looks a little less good. So let's get that root ball. I just try to shake off as much dirt as possible. The bed itself right now is a little dry, which makes it easier to not all clump together. And number 2, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I think this guy was in the petunias and was very unhappy now that I pulled them. Here's a look at the bed. I mean, the soil level isn't really that much shallower since I pulled those. So I think what I'll do, like I said, is I'll just break up kind of what's in here, add in some of the slow release fertilizer, and then get the fall plants in here. But first, I'm going to deal with everything that I pulled out. So this stage of gardening is one of my least favorites because I feel like I'm constantly pulling things out, making a mess, finally getting everything cleaned up, and then immediately making another mess. But this is the top of the straw flowers that I cut off. What I'm going to do is remove all of the flower heads here and then bring those inside to dry. Then I have the super petunias there, and then the bottom of the straw flowers in the root ball. I've mentioned this before, but I like to leave the root ball out in the sun for a little bit because when it dries, it's lighter weight, and then I will put that into a garbage bag, and once the garbage bag is full, carry it downstairs. And then this I'm going to chop up as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in the same garbage bag or if I'm going to use it in my garden. So I usually do one of 3 different things with my garden waste. The first one, which is new this year, is to put it in my tumbler composter, which is on the back deck. And I think right now that one is almost full. It fills up and then does decompose a little bit, so I might be able to put some in there. I'll see. The second thing I do is I will bag everything up, bring it down to where our regular garbage is in the alley, and then put in a 311 request. You tell them you have garden waste, and they go take it and compost it for the city. And then the third thing, which really happens more kind of at the very, very end of the garden season, which I just started last year, is I will chop up the green waste as usual. I will kind of bury it within the garden bed and let it break down. So last year I had kind of just asked people what they do with their garden waste, and someone said they leave all of the plant debris in there as long as it's not diseased. They leave the root ball in there, assuming they're not like a huge root ball, and that can break down and help aerate the soil. So that's what I did last year, and it was really nice because one, it seemed to work. Most of it was decomposed by the time spring came around, and it meant I didn't have to carry as much stuff downstairs, which is always great when you are gardening on a rooftop. So this stuff here, I think I'm probably going to have to bag up because I don't have my beds empty yet, and do the 311 option. I'll see whatever I can fit in my tumbler composter in it, and then 311 the rest. So yeah, I'll get these chopped up now, cleaned up, and then we'll start replanting the bed. I'm done with this portion of the cleanup, so the root balls are still sitting over there to dry. All of the green parts of the straw flowers are in there, so the stems and the leaves. There were only tiny buds on it, so no like full flowers, but these I'm saving to dry. I also forgot I had planted carrots. Well, I forgot twice. In the spring, I sowed carrot seeds. I forgot about them, and then I planted on top of them, and then I forgot that I did that, and pulled these carrots out, which are, I'm sure, the most beautiful harvest of carrots you've ever seen. The petunias are in this garbage can, which is where I'm putting all of the garden waste to take down. The reason this is in here right now is because I think I just went over to my tumbler composter. There is room. It also smells earthy, which I know is supposed to be a good sign and not smells terrible or anything like that. So I think I'm composting correctly, but we'll have to see. So now it's time to work up the bed and get the new plants planted. Also means I need to carry all of them up. So I'll go do that now. I just carried all of these up in one trip thanks to my husband's car storage thingamajig. Now we could go through the plants that I got outside, but it is still 80 degrees out, even though we are getting into fall, and it's air conditioned in here, and the plants are in here anyway, so we might as well go through them now. I did get a lot of great recommendations of what I should put in that raised bed. My original plan, kind of going into it, was a lot of different colors of pansies to create kind of like a colorful blanket, and then having some like cabbages and taller flowers sticking out of the bed to give it some height. But we went to Home Depot, and the options weren't as plentiful as I was hoping. They had, I would estimate that 80% of the flowers they had were mums. And as much as I love mums, they do tend to stop blooming faster than some of these other flowers, especially pansies here can last pretty long even if we get some snow. So I was hoping for a lot of pansies. There were not a ton of pansies, and I think that's one of the differences between going to like the chain like Home Depot versus when we were at Gethsemane, one of our like actual local garden centers. They had a ton of pansies, but it's a little further away. Home Depot was the most efficient, so that's where we went, and that's what I got. So I'll show you everything that I ended up picking up. Oh, they also had pumpkins. So I got some tiny pumpkins, but I was like, you have a whole field of pumpkins here, not a whole field of pansies, but that's fine. So I did get some pansies. I got 3 of each color because I wanted to kind of put them together in color blocks. I don't know if these are gonna say specific varieties on them anywhere, but basically I got 3 of these yellow pansies. Put that down. And then I got 3 of this pansy that is this kind of dark maroon red color. And then I got 3 of these pansies with, again, kind of that periwinkle bluish purple color. I also find that the pansies there were a little bit more flaky, so I don't know if they were keeping them somewhere where they weren't getting enough light at first, but again, more efficient, even though typically the plants are better quality at some of the garden centers. Next, I got 2 of these black-eyed Susans right there. The eye currently is not black. I'm gonna got 2 of these for a little bit of height. Grab the other one out of here. I'm wondering how many insects I brought into the house. I have a lot of spiders. We had a moth. I'm trying to think of what else I've seen in here, but I know 100% all of the insects that are in the house, it's because of me. Either leaving the door open while I garden or bringing the plants inside. Now I also got this celosia, which I've never really grown this before. I don't know how long it lasts, if it lasts as long as like pansies, for example, but I just love the color of it. I think it's very fall. It was out, I feel like, at Home Depot in the summer, but now with the fall, there were just so many more of them. So I'm gonna add this. Another thing that I've noticed at like big chain stores is they will plant a lot of them together for you. So there's 3 different stems in here, whereas I'm gonna plant them in a raised bed. So I'm gonna try to see if I can break them apart and have 3 different plants. Probably at Home Depot, they assume, oh, we'll make all the pots for you. Not as many people are wanting individual plants. I don't know, but I'm planning to break those up. And then also let me grab the other large plant. So same thing here with this coneflower. There are, I think, 3 different plants potted in, you know, this pot, which is a plastic pot, but kind of more decorative. So again, I think they're assuming that someone would buy this to put it somewhere as it is, but I'm going to try to separate those. So now, oh, I almost forgot, I also have 2 cabbages that are over there and too far for me to reach. They're regular looking cabbages. But the next thing I need to do is add in the slow release fertilizer. Actually, let me grab that and I'll show you what it is that we got, just in case you're curious, and then I'll get that mixed into the raised bed. So here's what I'm mixing into the raised bed. I have 2 of each of these, since both my husband and I got one of the gift bags. So we have Proven Winners Premium Continuous Release Plant Food. This says for flowering plants. Almost everything I have here, flowers, so that should be good. And then I have Biotone Starter, which I use normally, just little sample bags here. I think I'll probably use all 4 of the bags in the raised bed because it's a pretty good size. I plan to fill it up. This is one of those times where I'm looking at these plants and it seems like there's a lot. And then I have a feeling when I get out there and plant them, it might not be as full as I'm thinking it will be, but that just means I can go pick up some more plants to put in there. So let's go ahead and get the planting started. The bed has been raked through and I used this, which is exciting because it's my first non-Amazon gardening tool, and all of the tools I got from Amazon, the handle breaks off from the tool head if I try to do anything that requires a little bit of effort. So I got this, I think I got it from Park Seed. It's the DeWitt brand and it is very sturdy. What I basically do is I rake through everything and I try to get kind of what was down at the bottom up to the top and just mix it all together. So I'm not an expert at how to maintain the soil in your container garden. I just do what kind of feels right. And then if something causes a problem later, I'll worry about that at that point. But something that I have read is that over time, your soil in the containers can become more compact, more hardened, which will hurt the drainage. So I'm trying to, again, rotate the soil. I'll probably add some perlite in the spring, and then again, just adding some slow release fertilizer at this point in here to maintain the nutrients. So I don't know if at some point I'm going to have to replace all the soil and start fresh. I hope not, because that sounds like it would be a pain. But so far, just kind of mixing it around, adding good stuff in has worked. And I think this is the second year now that I've been using the same soil. No, sorry, the third year. So I've used it twice. This is now the third year, and obviously I've added more potting soil, more compost, more fertilizer, etc. into this during that time. So next I'm going to unpot all the plants, put them where I think I'm going to plant them, and then if it looks good, go ahead and get them into place. So here is what I have laid out so far. I did already plant the cone flowers because I knew where I wanted those to go. So I figured I'd get those in place, and a little bee has already found it, which makes me happy. Now, interesting, let's see, 1, 2, 6 of the blooms were on one of the plants in the pot. This one had 2 blooms. This one back here had 0. So this one is definitely further behind the other cone flowers. But then I have 2 of the celosia here. The other one I think I'm going to pot separately and put on the flower cart. In front of that, the 2 black-eyed Susans, a cabbage on each end, and then the pansies scattered throughout. So now it is time to plant, finally. So here she is, and she's making me really happy. So I had again the 3 straw flowers, 2 celosia, and then I put the 2 black-eyed Susans in front. I went ahead and did all blue pansies in the front row here, and then the blue pansies and the cabbage I planted at a slight tilt so that they'll grow kind of facing out of the raised bed here. And then I have basically yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, and I had 3 of each obviously, but 4 yellow now. So 1 of the yellow I split into 2, and now I'm just excited for all of this to fill in. And here it is from further back. I really love the pop of color this adds to it, because other than the petunias, the straw flower didn't put out a lot of color, and obviously when the petunia buds were eaten by the budworms, they were mostly green as well, but having that amount of color in the corner really makes me happy. You can see all of the containers below that I need to clean up, and then also all this mess that I need to clean up, but I'm not going to clean it up right now because it is too hot outside. So that's going to be everything for today, although I might come back out in a couple hours when the sun is setting and show you the bed again, just so the light isn't as harsh, and plus that's one of the prettiest times in the garden is when the sun is kind of setting right behind the trees. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.